Allow myself to introduce myself.
Alright, let's take a look at enchanted weapons. Who they benefit, who they do not, how they work. And I don't fully understand enchanted weapons and the whole split thing, but I do know it works on some vocations and it does not on others. So, Strider, Ranger, Fighter, Warrior, Assassin. In this video, I will be calling them physical vocations, and Magick Archer, Mystic Knight, I will be calling split vocations. And I will not be talking about magic vocations like Sorcerer and Mage, because enchanted weapons for them are pretty useless. So, for the physical vocations, again, Assassin, Fighter, Warrior, Strider, and Ranger. Typically, 95% of the time, enchanted weapons do not matter very much. The physical, pure physical weapons are ideal. And then the split vocations, Mystic Knight and Magick Archer, do greatly benefit from enchanted weapons. And the thing with the physical vocations is because their skills are physical skills. There are some skills that have a magic part to them, like Toss and Trigger, or Powder Blast, or Fracture Dart, but it is very small, and it is only applied when you have enchanted weapon equipped. And we will show that later. But first, physical vocation, physical skill, enchanted weapon, pure physical weapon. Weak to lightning is Garm, so we could assume a lightning weapon would be better. And now we'll do the same scenario with a pure physical weapon with a physical skill, just as last time. And this is not an extreme physical weapon, it is on par with the enchanted weapon. It is the Carnation versus the, however you want to pronounce, the lightning sword. What happens is the split weapon, the enchanted weapon, has a magic value and a physical value, whereas the physical weapon has pure physical only and tends to be higher than the physical of the enchanted. And then enemies have a split defense of magic and physical that you need to break, you need to breach, and if you do not, then you do no damage. So with the enchanted lower numbers, sometimes you do not breach that defense. Even sometimes if the enemy is weak to that element. So let's take a look at the same scenario with a split vocation, Mystic Knight, where his stats are split, the weapon is split, even with a pure physical, it still splits it. And Garm, weak to lightning. So the sigil and the cannon will split a physical weapon. It'll take that stat number, basically split it in half, and apply it to magic and physical, magic defense, physical defense. And in this scenario, it results in 0 damage. The pure physical attack does apply. And again, enchanted weapons on a pure physical vocation, assassin, where the magic stat does not increase the magic damage. Only the weapon number is what matters with the physical vocations. Augments like acuity do increase, armor does increase, rings, but the actual stat, the innate stat build of the physical vocation, does not apply. And Elder Ogre is weak against lightning, but not weak against ice. This weapon has a slightly higher stat than the lightning sword, and we shall see what may come of it. At this point, we are solely relying on the physical number of the sword. None of the magic was applied. So with a split weapon, if the physical split does not meet the defense threshold, then no damage. And then if the magic number does not breach the defense threshold, no damage. That's why with the physical vocations, because they have physical attacks, physical skills, physical weapon is 90% the ideal choice. The 10% are undead with fire and holy. That is the 10%. So the physical vocations. Physical weapon is ideal. Split vocations. Well, it's split. Sometimes pure physical is better. Sometimes an enchanted weapon is better. Depends on the scenario. Again, with lightning, just as we saw earlier, pure physical with a pure physical attack from a pure physical vocation was better than the lightning sword. And sometimes that does not apply. Banshee is thought to be weak to ice, so an ice enchanted weapon with a split vocation, Mystic Knight and the Sigil and the Cannon, does not seem to do any damage. I suppose we are not meeting the defense threshold of magic or physical. It is doing a very good job of freezing, but no damage. Well, she is undead, so maybe she's weak to fire. Even though Sigil and Cannon splits a physical weapon into magic and physical, with this scenario, only a physical is able to reach her defense. And why? I haven't the slightest idea. Now, there was a time where the physical vocations stat of magic did apply. It was a rare scenario, and it was on ghosts, wraiths, phantoms, phantasms. And there was a difference between your magic stat of 100 and 400, where it did apply to the weapon when fighting the ghosts. But recently, I suppose, after a patch, probably when they patched the inflection augment, they also patched this. So now, absolutely, your magic does not apply for the physical vocations. It is solely dependent on the weapon's number. Even with those skills like Toss and Trigger, where magic is applied, and Fractured Art, and Powder Charge. Your magic attack, your magic stat, innate, has got no play with enchanted weapons. And for those physical vocations that do have skills that apply magic, when wielding a physical weapon, the magic does not apply. So you still have to have enchanted weapons for Toss and Trigger, Fractured Art, and Powder Blast. And again, your innate stat does not matter. It is reliant only on the weapon. Augments will still increase acuity, attunement, or armor, rings, but your stat from leveling does not apply. That is why I'm calling these vocations physical vocations, because they have physical attacks, physical skills, and if they need to use enchanted weapons, they don't need to worry about their stat. After the 90% for physical vocations benefiting from physical weapons opposed to enchanted, the 10% are undead with fire or holy, due to the fact that they take between 400 and 500% damage from fire and holy. Most enemies have 100% or 60%, but when we're talking 500, then yeah, fire and holy will do more than the physical. And for the boons, when you get a weapon buffed as an element, if the weapon is already enchanted, the new boon element will replace the current permanent one. If it's on top of a physical one, there are magic components applied based on the pawn and based on you. Usually more noticeable in earlier levels. Once you reach a certain level area, maybe level 50 or so, there becomes a cap from the pawn and from you, and it does not really matter beyond that. So, pure physical on that undead took a while. But if they're weak to fire and weak to holy, then it should go quite a bit quicker. Especially with a split vocation. There are only 2 skills for Magick Archer that benefit from enchanted weapons. There is a 3rd skill that benefits if the enemy is weak to fire, and that is immolation. When wielding enchanted daggers, immolation while climbing on a weak enemy is better than pure physical. Aside from that, Sunflare and Ascension enchanted daggers are typically better for most enemies, especially weak to fire, weak to holy, and no matter what daggers you are wielding, the element is always fire for Sunflare, even if you have Chilling Razors for ice, or holy for Ascension, even if you have Kunai for dark. So recap, pure physical vocations should typically use pure physical weapons. Split vocations, well, they can use pure physical, pure magic, or split with the enchanted. This is another odd scenario. Elder Ogre is not weak to fire, so we will compare Sunflare with enchanted and pure physical. And it's pretty much right about the same. The pure physical did just slightly a little bit better.